Welcome back to the second part of our iOS-Blacksmith Beginner's Guide tutorial series. And the last time we basically created a project and put it under source control. And we left off by creating a launch screen branch, and we said we were gonna pick it up here. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So this is our project. As you can see, in the meantime of recording this video, or should I say from the last video, Apple released a new Xcode version, the Xcode beta, which will be the Xcode version 12. So as you can see, we have our project opened and we are looking at the launch screen storyboard. This is where we are going to design our launch screen. So this is the view controller that gets presented. And in here you can see on the left side we have our view hierarchy for the launch screen view controller. We just have a simple view and we are going to change its background color to orange. So we do that. And what else do we need? We are going to need a image view, which will serve to display our logo. So this will be positioned in the middle of the screen, and as such we need to define the constraints that will keep it there. So we go to the constraint icon and we're going to say we want to keep it a fixed height and width. So we're gonna give it an aspect ratio and we're going to give it a width, let's say 200. So that will keep its size in check. However, there's still one thing we need to do. By default, the ratio is derived from the component in the storyboard, so we're going to change that because we want a square image, so it'll be a 1:1 ratio and the width is 200, which is it okay? No, let's keep it, let's put it a little, let's say 120. Okay, so that takes care of the size of the actual component. Now we still need to define where this component should be in the hierarchy, or should we say in the screen. So we need to tell the system how this component should be positioned based on its parent or surrounding views. And we said we're gonna keep it in the center, so horizontally centered and vertically centered. And as you can see, the storyboard updates, or should I say the interface builder, and we have a image in the middle of the screen. But where's the image? Well, we still need to actually import our image into the project and set it. So this is just a component and we need to set its attributes, and one of these attributes is an image, but for that we'll actually need the image. So we go to our asset catalog and we are going to create a new image set, which will be called the logo. Let's call it a logo icon. So we are going to be using a image downloaded from a free images website. However, some attribution is needed, and this specific image was created by Lork. So we just drag and drop the image into the placeholders. So the 1x scale in the first slot, the 2x scale in the second one, and the 3x scale to the, or 3x scale to the last slot. And the name of the image, so the logo dash icon, will be the one we need. We go back to our storyboard, and in the attribute section for the selected UI image view, we enter the name and Xcode finds it, so we set the logo icon. As you can see, the image shows up, and as far as the launch screen goes, that's pretty much it. So we can now check this out. As you can see, the animation is really fast. So unless you have like 60 frames per second eyesight, I'm pretty sure that you didn't see the animation. So what we're gonna do, we select the simulator and we go to the debug menu and we click slow animations. We're gonna rerun the project, and now you should see the launch screen animation happening slowly. Well, the launch screen displaying, since there are no animations. Alright, the launch screen appears and we enter into our first view controller. So that's great, but we want more. This is not enough. So the animation, as you saw, was basically the default. When the launch screen is replaced by the view controller, it just fades away. And we said we are going to make a fancy transition. So let's do that. Now, the way we are going to be doing this is by creating another screen that will serve as a animation. So why are we doing this? Well, in the left side you can see that this is a launch screen storyboard, and one of the features of this is that we cannot associate a view controller to this particular view controller. So the launch screen serves as just as a screen and cannot be manipulated by accessing its view controller that is assigned in the storyboard. So what we're gonna do is we're going to create something that you see in most apps, which is a splash screen, and identical to the screen that we are looking at now. So it will be an orange screen with a logo in the center, but the difference is that we are going to animate the background. So the orange background will collapse into the center of the screen and revealing what is underneath it. So let's do that. Let's get started. Now, since the splash screen will be always present as the fallback screen inside the app, so when any other screen gets dismissed, this screen is always underneath. And what we're gonna do to achieve that is we're going to have this screen defined in our main storyboard. So if we go to our home folder, we see we have our main storyboard there. And what we're gonna do, we are going to create a new folder. It will be called the splash screen. And let's just drag it right here. Okay, and we're going to drag the main storyboard inside it. So if we take a look, at the moment it's empty and we have this view controller. So in the launch screen we created the orange background by using the view and assigning it a orange color. In this case we're not going to be doing that, but we are going to add a view that will serve as the background view, which gives us a little bit more control when it comes to animations or basically anything we decide to do with our background. So let's make it orange. Now, since it is going to be animating and it is going to be a circle that shrinks, that means that it needs to extend all outside of the edges of the view controller, but still needs to be centered. So we already know how to do that. We add the two constraints for horizontal and vertical. And now we need to define its size. Now, there are many devices that can come into play here, even the iPads. So what we're gonna do, this will serve just as a visual aid, and we will add a 1024 width, and we'll keep the aspect ratio as well. So let's put the aspect ratio as before, so 1:1, and we're going to add an image just like previously, which will also be centered, and it will be, let's say, 120, and it will have an aspect ratio as well. So it'll be 1:1. And now we already have the image, so we just go to the attributes inspector. Wow, we just go to the attributes inspector and we assign the logo icon. Now obviously this background view does not cover every background on every device, or should I say, doesn't cover the background on every device. What we're gonna do to fix that is we're going to give it a view controller where we are going to manually set that when the view loads, so when it comes on screen everything is fine and dandy. But for that we're going to need a view controller, so we go to our splash screen folder, we're gonna add a new file, and this is going to be a Swift file, so we select that. We're developing for the iOS. It will be called a splash screen view controller. Voila. And we just need to define it. We're gonna need to import the UI kit since the view controller resides over there. And now we need to tell the storyboard that this particular view controller has associated the view controller we just created. So we do that, and now they're linked, but to actually make sure, we're gonna open the splash view controller side by side, and we're gonna click the image, and then we're going to press Ctrl, and we can either drag from the logo icon in the hierarchy or from the image itself, and we create an outlet which will serve as a link. So we will name this logo image view, and this will be, oh no, Xcode will rename this, so we don't need to. So we drag this here, background view. Okay, so I guess because this Xcode is beta, it doesn't rename, but it should be background view. And we're going to make these two private because there is no reason why anyone from the outside would be tampering with them. So we'll do that, and we'll actually just mark this section as outlet, and then we're going to have the view controller specific stuff, which will be view did load, We're gonna take our background view and we're going to adjust its frame to be the size of our actual view, so the view of the view controller property. And we set it its position, so the X and Y will remain the same. Basically 0, which would be the top left corner of the screen, and width and height will be from the view. We're just gonna hide this, and Apple added a quick hide button, so that's really nice. And just because we are going to be having our background view as a circle, we are going to make sure it needs to be big enough, so we're going to multiply it by, let's say, 1.2. And let's just prettify this a bit, because this line is a little long. So let's just split this into a few different lines, like width, height, and let's break these two apart as well. Alright, so now it's time to add our actual animation. For that we will be overriding the viewDidAppear method, and we are going to be making a UI view animation. Let's say it'll take 1 second, and let's start with 1 second delay. We'll be using the curve ease in, ease out effect, just because it looks nice. And this will be finished property, and right here we are going to be adjusting the size of our view. Actually, we are going to be needing a property which we didn't link, so let's do that. And we need the constraint, so the width. And since we only have 2, it should be easy, and there it is. So we control drag, and let's just put it here. So this would be our background view with constraint. And let's just move it down here, and this also can be private. And now we are going to change it right, not here but here. So we're going to be setting its constant property to 0, which means this is the end result that we want. And the animation will happen because this is inside an animation block or closure. And now we need to tell the system that some changes need to be made. So we call the setNeeds layout, and we call layout if needed. The first one sets it, the second one actually does it. Well, tells the system that it should be done. Alright, so this takes care of our animation, and what we still need to do is make sure that our background view is actually a circle, and for that we are going to be overriding the viewDidLayout subviews, and in this particular method we are going to update the frame of our background view. Specifically, we are going to be updating its layer property and setting its corner radius to half of its width, and that makes sure that if you take a square and half its side and apply that as a corner radius, it will go from half of one side to the half of the other side, which basically turns into a circle. So that's exactly what we want. And now let's just run the project and check this out real quick. Nice. And this looks good. In this video we covered how to create a launch screen. After that we added our splash screen, and we also took a look at how to create UI kit animations. Specifically, we were animating our background view, and we also applied some corner radius to turn our view into a circle, and we took a look at how everything fits together, and it is looking pretty good. So now what we need to do is commit all of these changes to our current branch, and we are going to be doing this in a specific manner. Each commit should be as a individual unit, meaning it could be applied by anyone who wants to add that particular functionality that was added with that particular commit. So this is a great opportunity to do a code review before actually submitting a pull request and starting the code review process. This should be just a check for yourself to see that what you wrote and what you are going to be committing actually makes sense and it is actually what you intend to do. So we start off by committing the images we added to our assets catalog, and after that our first commit will be the launch screen storyboard itself. So this will be the view of the launch screen that we created inside the storyboard. So we're gonna commit that. And then our second commit will be the splash screen view controller, which we added into our project. So let's do that. And besides that, we also added the folder into our project structure. And lastly, we moved the main storyboard file into the newly added splash folder, so we'll do that as well. Alright, so now we just push those changes to make sure nothing gets lost. Alright, so that's it for this video, and in the next video we will be taking a look at how to create the home screen, which will be made out of a tab bar view controller. So we're going to have a few different tabs. So that'll be a pretty interesting video. To make sure that you don't miss it, make sure that you subscribe, and if you found this video useful, give it a like. That's always a good thing. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.